Welcome back to Let's Talk About It. I'm here with Vanessa, who's dealing with a fiancé who signed her up for a sex party with his friend group without asking her first. On the last episode, we established that yes, Vanessa has every right to be angry, and that Marcus's behavior is a major problem. Now let's talk about what happens next. Vanessa, you still with me?
Yeah, I'm here, still processing everything you said in part 1.
I know it's a lot, but we need to talk about your next steps, because you're getting married in 8 months, and you cannot walk down that aisle with this unresolved.
I know, so what do I do?
First, you need to have a serious conversation with him, and I mean serious. Not a fight, not a negotiation, a come-to-Jesus conversation about your relationship and your future.
What do I say?
You say, Marcus, I need you to understand something. I am not interested in group sex. I'm not interested in involving other people in our intimate life. That's not fear, that's not closed-mindedness, that's who I am. Before we get married, I need to know if you can accept that and be happy with monogamy, or if this is something you feel like you need.
And what if he says he needs it?
Then you have your answer, and as painful as it is, you need to seriously reconsider this engagement. Because Vanessa, if he genuinely needs sexual variety with multiple partners, and you genuinely need monogamy, you are fundamentally incompatible, and no amount of love can bridge that gap.
That's terrifying.
I know it is, but you know what's more terrifying? Marrying someone and finding out 5 years in that they've been resenting you for not being adventurous enough, or worse, that they've been doing this stuff behind your back.
You think he'd cheat?
I think someone who's willing to sign you up for a sex party without your consent and then call you close-minded when you object is someone who prioritizes what they want over your comfort and boundaries. That's not a huge leap to someone who might justify cheating as exploration.
God, Wellington. I came on here hoping you'd tell me I was overreacting.
I know, but I can't do that because you're not overreacting. If anything, I think you've been underreacting because he's got you convinced that you're the problem. So what's my next step? Like, practically speaking. Here's what you do. You tell him you need to have a serious conversation, and you pick a time when you're both calm and sober. You lay out exactly what I told you, that you need monogamy, that you need privacy, and that you need a partner who respects your boundaries without making you feel bad about them.
Okay.
Then, and this is crucial, you pay attention to how he responds. Not just his words, but his tone, his body language, whether he gets defensive or dismissive. If he tries to argue with you about your boundaries, that tells you everything you need to know.
What should he say?
He should say something like, I hear you, I understand this is important to you, and I respect your boundaries. I'm sorry for pressuring you and making you feel bad about this. And then he needs to actually show you he means it by dropping this whole thing completely.
And if he doesn't?
Then you need to make a hard decision about whether this is the right person to marry. And Vanessa, I'm going to tell you something that might be hard to hear. The fact that his solution to exploring before marriage was to organize a sex party with his friend group tells me he might not be ready to be married at all.
Yeah, I've been trying not to think about that.
I know, but you have to think about it now, before you walk down that aisle. Let me ask you one more thing, Vanessa. If you took the sex party out of the equation, if Marcus had never suggested this, how do you feel about your relationship?
Honestly, I thought things were good. We laugh together, we support each other's careers, we have fun. But now I'm realizing there might be things he's been thinking and feeling that he never shared with me. And that scares me.
That's the real issue right there. It's not just about the sex party. It's about the fact that he had whole conversations with his friends about his sexual desires and his future plans without ever including you. That's a breakdown in communication, and that's something you have to fix before you get married.
How do we fix it?
Honestly, couple therapy. If you decide to move forward with this relationship, you need a neutral third party to help you to communicate about sex, boundaries, expectations, and honesty. Because right now, you're not on the same page, and you can't build a marriage on that.
You think we need therapy just to talk about this?
I think you need therapy because he violated your trust, pressured you about your boundaries, discussed your intimate life with his friends without permission, and then tried to make you the problem. That's not something you can fix with one conversation.
Deep breath. Okay, you're right. I'll suggest therapy.
And Vanessa, if he refuses therapy, or if he acts like you're making a big deal out of nothing, that's also a red flag. A partner who cares about the relationship will be willing to do the work.
And what if we do all this and it turns out we're just not compatible?
Then you'll have your answer. And yes, it'll hurt. Yes, you'll have to cancel wedding plans and deal with disappointed family members and all of that. But Vanessa, it is so much easier to cancel a wedding than to get a divorce, and it's so much better to be alone than to be with someone who makes you feel bad for having boundaries.
Can I ask you something, Wellington? Do you think there's any world where this works out? Like, is there any scenario where Marcus genuinely lets go of this and we move forward happily?
Honestly, yes, there is. But it requires Marcus to do some serious self-reflection and make some hard choices. He needs to ask himself, is this fantasy more important to me than my relationship with Vanessa? And if the answer is no, he needs to genuinely let it go, not just say he's letting it go while secretly resenting you for it.
How do I know if he's genuinely letting it go versus just telling me what I want to hear?
Time and consistency. If he drops it completely, stops bringing it up, stops having these conversations with his friends, stops making you feel bad about your boundaries, and if he does that for months, not just weeks, that's a good sign. But if he keeps bringing it up in different ways, keeps making comments about how other couples do things, keeps pushing your boundaries, then you know he hasn't actually let it go.
That makes sense.
And here's another thing to watch for. Does he make an effort to understand why you're not interested? Does he ask you about your feelings, your boundaries, your vision for intimacy in your marriage? Or does he just focus on trying to convince you to change your mind?
He hasn't really asked me why. He just seems focused on explaining why I should be open to it.
Exactly. That tells you he's more interested in getting what he wants than understanding who you are. And Vanessa, that's not the foundation of a good marriage.
Wellington, I have to ask, am I being unfair to him? Like, if this is truly who he is sexually, am I wrong for asking him to suppress that?
That's a really mature question, and I appreciate you asking it. Here's the thing. You're not wrong for having boundaries, and he's not wrong for having desires. The problem is when those two things are incompatible. You're not asking him to suppress who he is. You're asking him to be in a monogamous relationship, which is what you signed up for when you got together. If he's changed and decided he needs something different, that's valid. But then he needs to be honest about that instead of trying to pressure you into changing your mind.
So it's okay for me to say this is a deal breaker?
It's absolutely okay. Sexual compatibility is a huge part of a healthy relationship. If you need monogamy and he needs variety, that's as much of a deal breaker as one person wanting kids and the other not. It's not about right or wrong, it's about compatibility.
That actually makes me feel a lot better. I've been feeling guilty, like I'm being selfish or prudish.
You're not. You're being true to yourself and your values. And Vanessa, let me tell you something. There are plenty of men out there who would be thrilled to be in a monogamous relationship with you. Men who wouldn't dream of signing you up for a sex party with their friends. Men who would respect your boundaries without making you feel bad about them.
That's a pretty low bar, but I appreciate it.
It really is, isn't it? But that's my point. What Marcus is asking of you is not normal or reasonable. You deserve better. All right, Vanessa, let me give you your action plan. First, you're going to have that serious conversation with Marcus this week. You're going to be clear about your boundaries and ask him directly if he can be happy with monogamy.
Okay.
Second, you're going to suggest couples therapy. If he agrees, great, you work through this with professional help. If he refuses, that tells you he's not willing to do the work to save this relationship.
Got it.
Third, you're going to trust your gut. If he says all the right things but your instincts are telling you something's off, listen to that. Your intuition is protecting you. Fourth, you're going to be prepared to walk away if necessary. I know that's scary. I know you've invested 3 years and you're planning a wedding, but you cannot marry someone you're not compatible with just because you've already sent the invitations.
This is a lot, Wellington.
I know it is, but you can handle it. You're stronger than you think, and you deserve a relationship where you're valued and respected.
Thank you, seriously. I came on here so confused, and now I at least know what I need to do.
That's what I'm here for. And Vanessa, I believe in you. I believe there is a better outlook for you. Good luck. All right, everyone. That wraps up part 2. Look, relationships require consent, communication, and mutual respect. If your partner is making unilateral decisions about your sex life, involving their friends in private discussions about your intimacy, and making you feel bad for having boundaries, that's not love. That's manipulation. Sexual compatibility matters. Monogamy is not old-fashioned or close-minded. It's a valid relationship structure that millions of happy couples choose. And if your partner can't respect that, they're not the right partner for you. To everyone out there facing similar situations, you are not uptight for wanting privacy in your intimate life. You are not approved for not wanting to have sex with your partner's friends. You deserve someone who wants the same kind of relationship you want, and you deserve to have your boundaries respected without having to defend them. I'm Wellington. Stand firm in your values, demand respect, and never let anyone make you feel bad for knowing what you want. We'll see you next time on Let's Talk About It.